"You worthless bitch! I'll teach you to embarrass me." The slap echoed through the luxury mall corridor like a gunshot. Folake's head snapped sideways, her cheek exploding in pain. She stumbled backward into a marble pillar, shopping bags scattering across the polished floor. Around them, shoppers froze. A woman gasped. A child started crying. "Adebayo, please!" Folake raised her hands defensively. "Not here. People are watching. Let them watch!" Her husband grabbed her throat, pinning her against the pillar. His Rolex glinted under the fluorescent lights as his grip tightened. "Let everyone see what happens when a wife disrespects her husband in public." "Someone do something!" a female voice screamed from the crowd. "I'm calling the police!" a man shouted, phone already to his ear. "Somebody stop him. He's killing her." Adebayo's fist drove into Folake's stomach. She doubled over, gasping, her designer dress tearing as she slid down the marble pillar. "Get up!" His voice was ice. "Get up so I can teach you properly." Blood dripped from Folake's split lip onto the white marble floor, and 20 phones rose in the air, recording everything. "We're all witnesses," someone said quietly. "Every single one of us." Welcome to Stories by Tino, where we bring you powerful African family dramas that expose the truth behind closed doors, or in this case, in the middle of Victoria Island's most exclusive shopping mall. Today's story is about a woman whose husband's rage destroyed them both, witnessed by 50 strangers who refused to stay silent. Thank you for being here. Your support keeps these important stories alive. Every like, comment, and share helps us reach more people who need to hear these messages. Before we continue, drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. USA, UK, Nigeria, Jamaica, Canada. We love hearing from our global family. Now let's go back to the beginning and discover how a marriage built on lies exploded in the most public way possible. 6 hours earlier, Folake had known it was a mistake the moment the words left her mouth. They were at lunch with Adebayo's business partners, 4 men and their wives, all seated around an expensive table at the mall's rooftop restaurant. The conversation had turned to the new Lekki development project. "Adebayo's been handling the entire thing himself," one of the partners said admiringly. "Brilliant negotiator. Got the land for 30% below market value." Folake had smiled, sipped her wine, and made her fatal error. "Actually, the initial contact came through my family's connections. My uncle knows the landowner personally. He facilitated the introduction." The table went silent. Adebayo's hand tightened on his whiskey glass. His smile stayed fixed, but his eyes went dead. "My wife is too modest," he said smoothly. "She made a phone call. I did the actual negotiation." "Oh, I didn't mean—" Folake backtracked immediately, recognizing the danger. "Of course, darling. You did all the hard work." But it was too late. She'd contradicted him, in public, in front of his colleagues, and Adebayo never forgot a slight. Lunch ended early. He claimed a sudden headache, made their excuses, smiled at everyone with his charming, practiced smile. Then he'd grabbed Folake's wrist under the table, hard enough to bruise. "We need to shop for the children's school supplies," he announced pleasantly. "Folake, let's browse the stores while we're here." His colleagues had smiled, waved, returned to their conversations. They had no idea what was coming. Now, 3 levels down in the main mall corridor, Adebayo dragged Folake past designer boutiques and coffee shops, his grip on her arm vicious. "Adebayo, you're hurting me," she whispered, trying to keep her voice down. Shoppers browsed around them, oblivious. Families laughed. Teenagers took selfies. Normal Saturday afternoon at Victoria Island Mall. "I'm hurting you?" He yanked her into a less crowded corridor near the pillar. "You humiliated me in front of my partners and I'm hurting you?" "I didn't mean to. I was just clarifying." "Clarifying?" His voice rose. People started to notice. A woman with shopping bags slowed down, frowning. "You were making me look small, making yourself look important." "That's not what I—" "Shut up!" He shoved her against the pillar. Her shoulder blades hit marble hard enough to knock the air from her lungs. Just shut your stupid mouth for once." The woman with shopping bags stopped completely now. "Excuse me, is everything okay?" "Mind your business," Adebayo snapped without looking at her. "Sir, I don't think—" "I said mind your business." He turned on the woman, who stumbled backward, frightened. Other shoppers stopped now. A security guard looked over from his post near the escalator. Folake saw her chance. "Please," she said to the gathering crowd. "He's just upset. We're fine. We're—" Adebayo's slap came so fast she didn't see it coming. Crack! The sound echoed through the corridor like thunder. Folake's head whipped to the side. Pain exploded across her cheek. She tasted blood. Gasps rippled through the crowd. "Oh my God! He just hit her! Someone call security, sir. I'm recording this." Folake clutched the marble pillar for support, her ears ringing, her vision blurred. Through the fog, she saw phones rising. 5, 10, 15, 20. All pointed at them. All recording. "You think you're smart?" Adebayo grabbed her designer blouse, ripping the delicate fabric. "You think because your family has money, you can disrespect me?" "Adebayo, stop. People are watching." "Let them watch." He grabbed her throat, squeezing. "Let everyone see what happens to wives who forget their place." Folake clawed at his hands, couldn't breathe, couldn't scream. Her vision darkened at the edges. "Someone stop him!" a woman screamed. "He's choking her! Where's security?" A man tried to intervene. Middle-aged, glasses, suit. "Sir, let her go. You need to calm—" Adebayo released Folake's throat and shoved her aside. She crashed into the pillar, sliding down as her legs gave out. "You touch me and I'll sue you for assault," Adebayo snarled at the would-be helper. "This is between me and my wife. Stay out of it." "Your wife?" An elderly woman pushed through the crowd, traditional wrapper and jeel marking her as someone's grandmother. "Is that what you call her while you beat her like a dog in the street?" "Ma, with all respect, this is a family matter." "Family?" The grandmother's voice boomed. "You're killing her in front of children." She pointed at a little girl, maybe 6, being held by her terrified mother, both crying. "What kind of man are you?" "The kind who disciplines his wife when she disrespects him." Adebayo was breathing hard now, his expensive suit disheveled, his face twisted with rage. "All of you, go back to your shopping. This is none of your concern." But nobody moved. Instead, the crowd grew. 30 people, 40, 50, all watching, all recording. Folake tried to stand, her legs shaking. Blood dripped from her split lip. Her throat burned where he'd choked her. Her cheek throbbed from the slap. "Adebayo," she whispered, "please, let's just go home. We can talk." "Talk?" He laughed, a terrible sound. "You want to talk now?" "After you embarrassed me?" His hand fisted in her hair. He yanked her head back and slammed it against the marble pillar. Crack! Pain exploded through Folake's skull. Blood bloomed on the white marble. The world tilted sideways. Screams erupted from the crowd. "Oh my God! He's going to kill her! Security! Security now!" Through the ringing in her ears, Folake heard running footsteps. Heavy boots. Men shouting. Adebayo's hand was still in her hair, pulling back for another strike. Then suddenly he was gone, tackled by 3 security guards, all of them crashing to the floor in a tangle of limbs and uniforms and designer suit. "Let me go! Do you know who I am? I'm Adebayo Okoye. I own half the buildings in this city. I'll have your jobs." "Sir, you need to calm down." "Get your hands off me!" But the security guards held firm. One clicked handcuffs onto Adebayo's wrists. Another radioed for police. Folake slid down the blood-smeared pillar, her vision tunneling. She couldn't hear properly anymore. Everything sounded underwater. Gentle hands touched her shoulders. The elderly grandmother knelt beside her, traditional fabric pooling around them both. "Somebody call an ambulance!" the grandmother shouted over her shoulder. Then softer. "My dear, you're safe now. Help is coming. Just breathe." Folake tried to speak, but nothing came out. Blood ran from the gash on her head, warm and sticky. Around her, the crowd pressed closer, phones still recording. But now they were filming the aftermath. The security guards restraining her husband, the blood on the marble, her collapsed against the pillar. Evidence, all of it evidence. "Ma'am?" A young woman crouched down, maybe 20, expensive handbag, designer sneakers. She held out her phone. "I recorded everything, from the first slap, all of it. I'll testify. I'll give this to the police, I promise." "Me too," a man said, stepping forward. Business suit, briefcase. "I saw the whole thing. I'll be a witness." "I will too," the middle-aged man with glasses added. "That was attempted murder. We all saw it." "I got it on video too," a teenage boy said, voice cracking with emotion. "Nobody should get away with this." One by one, voices rose from the crowd. "I'll testify. I saw everything. I recorded it. I'm a witness. We all saw. Every single one of us." The elderly grandmother looked around at the crowd, then back at Flake. "You hear that, daughter? You have 50 witnesses. He can't lie his way out of this. Not with this many people." Sirens wailed in the distance, getting closer. Folake's vision blurred with tears, not from pain, though everything hurt, but from something else, relief. For 6 years she'd been hiding bruises, making excuses, believing his promises to change, telling herself it was her fault for provoking him. For 6 years it had been her word against his. And who would believe a wife over Adebayo Okoye, successful businessman, church elder, respected community leader? But now? Now she had 50 witnesses, security cameras, video evidence from 20 phones, blood on marble that couldn't be explained away, and a crowd of strangers who'd seen the truth and refused to stay silent. "Ma'am, paramedics are here." The security guard knelt beside her. "They're going to take care of you, and the police are taking your husband into custody. He's not going to hurt you again. Not today." Folake nodded weakly. Couldn't speak. Couldn't process what was happening. 6 years of private hell had just exploded into public truth. In the middle of Victoria Island Mall, on a Saturday afternoon, in front of 50 shoppers who'd all become witnesses. As the paramedics carefully lifted her onto a stretcher, Folake caught sight of Adebayo being led away in handcuffs. He was still raging, still threatening, still demanding they release him. But nobody was listening anymore. His power was gone. His reputation was destroyed. His violence had finally been seen. And nothing would ever be the same. Folake lay in a private hospital room at Lagoon Hospital, bandages wrapped around her head, IV in her arm, monitors beeping steadily. Concussion. 3 stitches in her scalp, bruised throat, fractured cheekbone, bruised ribs where he'd punched her stomach. The doctor had documented everything, photographed every injury, added it all to her medical file. More evidence. A police officer sat beside her bed, a woman, maybe 40, with kind eyes and a no-nonsense expression. "Mrs. Okoye, I'm Inspector Amaka Ize. I need to take your statement about what happened at the mall today." Folake's voice came out hoarse, painful. "Is my husband still in custody?" "Yes. He's at the station. His lawyers are already there, demanding his release." Inspector Ize leaned forward. "But Mrs. Okoye, we have something his lawyers can't fight. We have 53 witnesses, 27 videos from different angles, mall security footage, and your injuries documented by medical professionals." "He'll say I provoked him," Folake whispered. "He always says I provoked him." "Let him say that. Then we'll show the judge video of him choking you, slamming your head into marble, and threatening anyone who tried to help." Inspector Ize's voice was firm. "Mrs. Okoye, I've been working domestic violence cases for 15 years. Usually, it's the wife's word against the husband's. He has money, lawyers, character witnesses. She has bruises she's been hiding, and explanations nobody believes." She paused. "But you? You have something I've never seen before, an entire mall full of witnesses who saw the truth and refused to look away. What happens now? Now, you decide if you want to press charges." Folake stared at the ceiling. 6 years of abuse. 6 years of believing she had no way out, that nobody would believe her, that Adebayo was too powerful, too respected, too connected. "If I press charges, he'll destroy me," she said quietly. "He knows judges, politicians. He'll make sure I lose everything. Maybe. Inspector Ize pulled out her phone. Or maybe you'll destroy him first, because I need to show you something. She turned the phone toward Folake. The screen showed Twitter. Trending topics in Nigeria. Hashtag Victoria Island Mall attack. Mash justice for Folake. Hashtag domestic violence exposed. All trending. All with hundreds of thousands of posts. Folake's eyes widened. What is this? The videos went viral. Someone posted the mall footage online 3 hours ago. It's been shared across every social media platform in Nigeria. BBC picked it up, CNN, Al Jazeera. This isn't just a local story anymore. This is international news. Inspector Easy scrolled through the posts. Videos of Adebayo hitting Folake, choking her, slamming her head, all from different angles, different witnesses, all showing the same brutal truth. And the comments. This is Adebayo Okoye, the respected businessman? Disgusting. I hope she presses charges. I hope she takes everything from him. 6 years? She said 6 years of this? How did nobody know? Because abusers are good at hiding, but you can't hide when 50 people are watching. Hashtag justice for Folake. She deserves better. She deserves everything. Tears streamed down Folake's face. The whole country is watching now, Inspector Ease said gently. Adebayo can't make this go away. He can't bribe judges when the entire world has seen the evidence. He can't intimidate witnesses when there are 50 of them and they're all ready to testify. But his lawyers are already losing clients. 3 companies have pulled their contracts with him in the past 2 hours. The church removed him from the elders' board. His business partners are distancing themselves. Inspector Ease showed her more headlines. Mrs. Okoye, you're not fighting alone anymore. You have an army. Folake closed her eyes. 6 years of silence, 6 years of hiding, all shattered in one brutal public moment. I want to press charges, she whispered. For everything. Not just today. For all of it. 6 years of it. Then that's what we'll do. Inspector Ize stood. Rest now. Tomorrow we'll take your full statement. And Mrs. Okoye? She paused at the door. Those 50 witnesses? They're not just testifying about what happened today. Several of them are coming forward saying they've seen suspicious bruises on you before, at the same mall, at restaurants, at church. They noticed. They just didn't say anything until now. Why now? Folake's voice cracked. Because now they can't unsee it. Because watching violence happen in real time is different from suspecting it happens behind closed doors. Because you gave them permission. By surviving, by speaking up, by being visible. Inspector Ease smiled sadly. You became the voice for every woman they've ever wondered about, every bruise they've explained away, every time they chose silence because it was easier. After the inspector left, Folake lay in the hospital bed, staring at her phone. The videos were everywhere. Her face, her blood, her pain, all of it public. All of it undeniable. And for the first time in 6 years, she felt something she'd thought was dead. Hope. Because Adebayo couldn't gaslight the whole country. He couldn't convince 50 witnesses they'd seen something different. He couldn't explain away blood on marble. He couldn't make this go away. And tomorrow, when she gave her statement, she would tell the truth. All of it. 6 years of truth. With 50 witnesses standing behind her, ready to testify, ready to speak, ready to prove that she wasn't crazy, wasn't lying, wasn't exaggerating, that every bruise had been real, every excuse had been a lie, every promise to change had been manipulation, and that Adebayo Okoye, respected businessman, church elder, pillar of the community, was nothing but a violent abuser who'd finally been caught, in front of everyone. At Victoria Island Mall, on a Saturday afternoon, when 50 shoppers became 50 witnesses, and changed everything. Do you think Adebayo will face real consequences, or will his money and power save him? What would you do if you witnessed something like this at a mall? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Next chapter is going to show you what happens when a powerful man realizes he can't escape the truth. The holding cell smelled of sweat, stale urine, and desperation. Adebayo Okoye sat on the concrete bench, still wearing his now rumpled designer suit, his Rolex still gleaming on his wrist despite the handcuff bruises on his skin. He hadn't slept, couldn't sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw them. The phones, 20 phones, 30, 50, all pointed at him, all recording, all damning him. "Mr. Okoye?" A guard unlocked the cell. "Your lawyer's here." Finally. Adebayo straightened his tie, smoothed his hair, forced his shoulders back. He was still Adebayo Okoye, still powerful, still connected. This was just a temporary inconvenience. His lawyer would fix it. His lawyer always fixed things. The consultation room was small, windowless, lit by harsh fluorescent lights that made everything look sickly. Bayo Adeleke sat across from him, senior partner at one of Lagos's most prestigious law firms, impeccably dressed as always, leather briefcase on the table between them. But his expression was wrong. No confident smile, no reassuring handshake, just a flat, professional neutrality that made Adebayo's stomach tighten. "Bayo, thank God." Adebayo leaned forward. "Get me out of here, whatever it takes. Bail, bond, whatever. I'll pay anything." Bayo opened his briefcase with deliberate slowness, pulled out a tablet, set it on the table without speaking. The screen showed Twitter. Victoria Island mall attack, 2.4 million posts. Justice for Folake, 1.8 million posts. Arrest Adebayo Okoye, 1.3 million posts. Bayo. "Be quiet and listen." The lawyer's voice was ice. "Do you understand what you've done? Not just to your wife, to yourself, to your reputation, to everyone associated with you. It was a private matter between husband and wife." "Private?" Bayo's voice cracked like a whip. "There are 27 videos of you nearly killing your wife in a public mall. The BBC ran it as their lead story yesterday. CNN showed it during prime time. Al Jazeera, Reuters, AFP, everyone is covering this." He swiped through the tablet. Video after video. Adebayo hitting Folake, choking her, slamming her head, from every angle. Clear, undeniable, brutal. "Make them take it down," Adebayo demanded. "Sue for defamation, invasion of privacy, something." "On what grounds?" Bayo asked coldly. "Truth is an absolute defense against defamation. And you committed assault and battery in public, so there's no reasonable expectation of privacy. Any judge would laugh us out of court." "Then pay people to delete it. Bribe the platforms. I don't care what it costs." The videos have been downloaded millions of times. They're on servers in 50 countries. Even if we could get Nigerian platforms to remove them, which we can't, they'll still exist everywhere else. Bayo leaned back. "Adebayo, you don't understand. This isn't a legal problem I can fix. This is a public relations catastrophe. You've become the face of domestic violence in Nigeria, the poster child for wealthy abusers who think they're above the law." "I'm not above the law. I respect the law. I support the law. You nearly killed your wife in front of children." Bayo's control finally cracked. "I watched the videos, Adebayo, all of them. I saw you choking her. I saw blood on marble. I saw a 6-year-old girl crying because she thought she was watching a murder." Adebayo's hands clenched. "She provoked me. She embarrassed me in front of my partners. So you tried to murder her in front of 50 witnesses?" Bayo closed the tablet. "Let me explain your situation clearly. The police have 27 videos, 53 witness statements, security footage, medical reports documenting multiple injuries, and your wife is ready to testify." "Folake won't testify. She knows better than that." "Really?" Bayo pulled out his phone, showed Adebayo a news headline. "Folake Okoye presses full charges against husband. 6 years of abuse ends today." Below it, a photo. Folake in a hospital bed, bandaged but clear-eyed, flanked by Inspector Ease and a victim's rights advocate. Adebayo's blood ran cold. She gave a full statement yesterday, Bayo continued. Documented every incident of abuse over 6 years. Named dates, locations, witnesses. The prosecution is building a comprehensive case, not just for what happened Saturday, but for sustained domestic violence, coercive control, and attempted murder. Attempted murder? I didn't try to kill her. You slammed her head into marble hard enough to fracture her skull. The medical report says if it had been 2 centimeters to the left, she'd be dead. Bayo's voice dropped. That's attempted murder, Adebayo, and with video evidence, witness testimony, and her statement, the prosecution has the strongest case I've seen in 20 years. So what do we do? Adebayo's voice cracked. There has to be something. I'll apologize, publicly. I'll go to counseling, anger management, whatever they want. It's too late for that. What do you mean too late? I'm willing to make amends. Adebayo. Bayo stood, gathering his briefcase. I came here as a courtesy, to tell you personally that my firm is withdrawing from your case, effective immediately. The room tilted. What? 3 of our major clients threatened to leave if we continued representing you. Our reputation is being damaged by association. The senior partners voted unanimously. We're out. You can't do this. I've paid you millions over the years. You owe me. We owe you nothing. Bayo's voice was final. And frankly, Adebayo, after watching those videos, I don't want to represent you. What you did to that woman was monstrous. And the fact that you still don't see it, that you still think you're the victim here? He shook his head. Good luck finding another lawyer willing to touch this case. Wait! Adebayo lunged forward as Bayo moved toward the door. You can't leave me like this. I need representation. It's my right. You'll get a public defender. Bayo knocked on the door for the guard. But here's some free advice. Plead guilty. Show remorse. Hope for mercy. Because if you take this to trial, with this much evidence, you're looking at 15 years minimum. Maybe 20. 20 years? Adebayo's voice strangled. For disciplining my wife? Bayo stared at him for a long moment. You still don't get it, do you? You didn't discipline anyone. You brutalized a woman half your size in front of dozens of witnesses, including children. And now you're going to pay for it. The door opened. The guard stepped in. We're done here, Bayo said. And then he was gone. Leaving Adebayo alone in the fluorescent-lit room, the weight of reality finally beginning to sink in. His lawyer had abandoned him. His wife was testifying against him. 50 witnesses were ready to destroy him. And the whole world had seen the truth. Tuesday afternoon, Lagoon Hospital. Folake sat up in bed, feeling stronger today, despite the throbbing in her head and the persistent ache in her ribs. The hospital room had become a hub of activity. Visitors came in steady streams. Her family, friends she hadn't seen in years, victims' rights advocates, journalists requesting interviews. Her mother sat beside the bed, holding her hand, tears streaming down her face. I should have known, Mama whispered. I should have seen the signs. All those times you wore long sleeves in Lagos heat. All those times you canceled family dinners last minute. How did I not know? Because I hid it well, Mama. Folake squeezed her mother's hand. And because Adebayo was very good at playing the perfect husband in public. I wanted to kill him when I saw those videos. Her father stood by the window, hands clenched into fists. My daughter, my baby girl, and I didn't protect you. Papa, you couldn't have known. I should have known. His voice broke. What kind of father doesn't notice his daughter is being abused? The kind whose daughter was too ashamed to tell him. Folake's voice wavered. I thought it was my fault, Papa. I thought if I could just be a better wife, if I could just stop provoking him. Stop. Her mother's voice was fierce. None of this was your fault. None of it. That man is a monster who chose violence. You didn't make him hit you. You didn't deserve any of it. A knock at the door interrupted them. Inspector Ease entered, followed by a woman Folake didn't recognize. Tall, elegant, wearing a tailored suit and carrying a leather folder. Mrs. Okoye, I hope we're not intruding, Inspector Eze said. This is Ngozi Okoro. She's a prosecutor from the Ministry of Justice. She wants to discuss your case. Ngozi stepped forward with a gentle smile. "Mrs. Okoye, thank you for seeing me. I know you're still recovering, but I wanted to update you personally on your husband's case." "Has something happened?" "Several things, actually." Ngozi opened her folder. "First, your husband's bail hearing was this morning. The judge denied bail." Folek's eyes widened. "Denied? But Adebayo has so many connections." "Not anymore." Ngozi's smile grew. "The prosecution argued that he's a flight risk with means to leave the country. We also argued that releasing him would endanger you and intimidate witnesses. The judge agreed. Your husband will remain in custody until trial." "How long will that take?" "Given the public interest and the strength of our evidence, we're fast-tracking this. Trial begins in 3 weeks." 3 weeks. Folek's heart raced. 3 weeks until she'd have to face Adebayo in court. 3 weeks until she'd have to testify about 6 years of hell. "I know it's frightening," Ngozi said gently. "But Mrs. Okoye, I need you to understand something. This case is unprecedented. We have video evidence, 53 witnesses, medical documentation, security footage, and your testimony. Your husband's lawyers, well, his public defender, has essentially no defense." "He'll claim I provoked him," Folek said quietly. "He'll say I was disrespectful, that I embarrassed him, that a husband has the right to discipline his wife. Let him." Ngozi's voice was steel. "Because then we'll show the judge video of him choking you, fracturing your skull, and threatening anyone who tried to help. We'll bring in expert witnesses on domestic violence, coercive control, and the cycle of abuse. We'll demolish any claim that what he did was justified." "What's he being charged with?" "Attempted murder, aggravated assault and battery, coercive control, domestic violence over a sustained period, making terroristic threats." Ngozi counted on her fingers. "And we're investigating financial abuse. Several witnesses have come forward saying they've heard him threaten to cut you off financially if you ever left him." Folek nodded slowly. That part was true. Adebayo had controlled every naira. She'd had to ask permission to buy groceries, had to justify every expense. If convicted on all charges, what's he looking at? Minimum 15 years, maximum 25. And Mrs. Okoye? Ngozi leaned forward. "I'm going to fight for every single year." After Ngozi and Inspector Ize left, Folek's phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "I was at the mall on Saturday. I saw everything. I wanted to reach out sooner but didn't know how. I just want you to know you're incredibly brave, and you're not alone. Chidera." Then another message, and another. Dozens of messages from strangers, women who'd seen the videos, women who'd survived their own abuse, women who wanted to share their stories, offer support, send prayers. Her Instagram had exploded. Thousands of new followers, comments flooding in. "Thank you for being brave enough to speak up. Your story gave me courage to leave my abuser. Because of you, I finally told my family the truth. You saved my life by saving yours." Tears streamed down Folek's face. She'd spent 6 years believing she was alone, believing nobody would understand, believing she was the only one trapped in this nightmare. But she wasn't alone. There were thousands of women like her, millions maybe, all hiding bruises, all making excuses, all believing they deserved it. And now, because 50 strangers at a mall had refused to stay silent, because her pain had been witnessed and recorded and shared across the world, those women were finding their voices, finding their courage, finding their way out. "Folek?" Her mother touched her shoulder gently. "What's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong, Mama." Folek smiled through her tears. "Everything is finally right." Because Adebayo's power was broken, his reputation was destroyed, his violence was exposed, and 50 witnesses stood ready to make sure he never hurt anyone again. 3 weeks until trial, 3 weeks until justice, 3 weeks until she could finally close this chapter and start writing a new one. Without bruises, without fear, without Adebayo Okoye. Adebayo sat in his cell, staring at the concrete wall. No bail, no lawyer, no way out. The public defender they'd assigned him was fresh out of law school, overwhelmed and terrified. He'd visited once, taken notes, and honestly told Adebayo that his case was challenging. Challenging. That was a polite way of saying hopeless. Through the bars, Adebayo could hear other inmates talking. "Aye, you see that guy in cell 7? That's the one from the mall video, the one who beat his wife in public." "For real? That rich guy?" "Yeah, man, he's finished. I heard 50 people are testifying against him." 50? Damn, he's going away for a long time. Good. Bastard deserves it. Beating a woman like that in front of children? Nah, that's not man. That's monster. Adebayo closed his eyes. Monster. Was that what he'd become? No, he was just maintaining order in his home. That's what his father had done. That's what men did. They disciplined their wives when necessary. Except his father had never done it in public, had never left visible bruises, had never been caught, because his father had been smart about it. Adebayo had been stupid. He'd let his rage control him, had forgotten where he was, had assaulted Folake in front of 50 witnesses with cameras, and now he was paying for it. Not for hitting her, he still believed she deserved that, but for being caught, for being stupid enough to do it where people could see. "Okoye," a guard appeared at his cell. "You have a visitor." Adebayo's heart leaped. Finally, someone from his old life, a friend, a business partner, someone to help. But when he entered the visitation room, his hope died. It was Kunle, his business partner from Saturday's lunch, the one who'd been at the table when Folake made her mistake. Kunle didn't smile, didn't extend his hand for a shake, just sat across the plexiglass barrier with cold eyes. "Kunle, thank God." "I'm not here to help you," Kunle said flatly. "I'm here to tell you that our partnership is dissolved, effective immediately. The papers will be filed tomorrow." "What? You can't do that. We have contracts." "With clauses about moral turpitude and bringing disrepute to the company. Your lawyers can review them." "Oh, wait." Kunle's smile was cruel. "You don't have lawyers anymore, do you?" "Kunle, please. We've been friends for 15 years. We were never friends. We were business associates. And now we're not even that." Kunle leaned forward. "Do you know what happened after you left the restaurant Saturday? After you dragged your wife away?" Adebayo said nothing. "We kept talking about the Lecky deal. And you know what we realized? Folake was right. Her uncle did make the introduction. Her family connections did get us that land price, and you took all the credit. I did the negotiations. You did half the work and took all the credit, just like you've been doing for years, taking credit for other people's work, using connections you didn't build, riding on reputation you didn't earn." Kunle's voice dropped. "We always suspected, but we never had proof, until Saturday, when your wife, your brilliant, connected, undervalued wife, accidentally revealed the truth. She was trying to embarrass me. She was telling the truth. And you tried to kill her for it." Kunle stood. "So here's what's happening. We're buying you out of the partnership for fair market value. You'll get your money. But your name comes off everything, all our projects, all our companies. You're done. You can't do this. Watch me." Kunle moved toward the door. "And Adebayo? I hope she takes everything. I hope they give you 20 years. Because what you did to that woman, for 6 years, you don't deserve another day of freedom." He left without looking back, leaving Adebayo alone with the truth he still refused to face. His empire was crumbling. His reputation was ash. His freedom was gone, and 50 witnesses were ready to bury him. What do you think will happen at trial? Will Adebayo finally take responsibility, or will he keep denying what the whole world saw? Drop your predictions in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe. 3 weeks later, Lagos High Court. The courtroom was packed, every seat filled. Journalists lined the walls. Cameras outside captured everyone entering. Security had to turn away hundreds who couldn't get in. Folake sat at the prosecution table, flanked by Ngozi Okoro and Inspector Ize. She wore a simple navy dress, her hair pulled back, the fading bruises on her face still visible even under makeup. Behind her, the first 3 rows were filled with supporters: her mother and father, her siblings, friends, and strangers, women who'd messaged her, who'd survived their own abuse, who'd driven hours just to be present for this moment. Across the aisle, Adebayo sat with his overworked public defender. He'd lost weight in 3 weeks. His expensive suit hung looser. His eyes had dark circles. His hands kept fidgeting. But his expression was still defiant, still convinced he'd walk free, still believing his money and connections would save him. "All rise!" Justice Adebola Ogunlaye entered, a woman in her 60s with silver hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. She'd built her reputation on refusing bribes and holding powerful men accountable. The prosecution had gotten lucky with the judge assignment. Adebayo had not. "Be seated." Justice Ogunlaye settled into her chair, opened the case file, and looked directly at Adebayo. "Mr. Okoye, you are charged with attempted murder, aggravated assault and battery, coercive control, sustained domestic violence, and making terroristic threats. How do you plead?" Adebayo's public defender stood. "Not guilty, Your Honor." Murmurs rippled through the courtroom. Not guilty. Despite 27 videos showing exactly what he'd done, Justice Ogunlaye's expression didn't change. "Very well. Prosecution, you may begin." Ngozi stood, commanding the room instantly. "Your Honor, the prosecution will prove beyond any reasonable doubt that Adebayo Okoye subjected his wife to 6 years of systematic abuse, culminating in a brutal public assault that was witnessed by 53 people and captured on 27 separate video recordings." She clicked a remote. A screen descended from the ceiling. "What you are about to see is disturbing. It shows a man attempting to murder his wife in broad daylight, in a crowded mall, with no regard for witnesses or consequences. I warn you, this footage contains graphic violence." The lights dimmed. The first video played. The mall footage, angle 1, the courtroom watched in absolute silence. Adebayo's slap echoing through the mall corridor, Folek stumbling backward, shopping bags scattering. "You worthless bitch!" His hand on her throat, her gasping for air, people screaming, his fist in her stomach, her sliding down the marble pillar. Blood. So much blood. Someone in the gallery sobbed. Someone else whispered a prayer. The video ended. But Ngozi wasn't done. That was from mall security. Now let's see it from other angles. Video after video, 27 in total, each one showing the same brutal assault from different perspectives. Some focused on Adebayo's face, twisted with rage, completely out of control. Some focused on Folek, terrified, defensive, bleeding. Some showed the crowd, horrified, recording, trying to help. Some captured the sound clearly, every threat, every curse, every scream. By the 15th video, several jurors were crying. By the 20th, even the judge's expression had hardened. By the 27th, Adebayo was slumped in his chair, unable to meet anyone's eyes. The lights came back on. Justice Ogunlaye took a long moment before speaking. "The court has seen the evidence. Prosecution, call your first witness." Witness number 1, the grandmother. The elderly woman who'd comforted Folek at the mall took the stand. She wore her traditional wrapper and jeel, her presence dignified and commanding. "Please state your name for the record," Ngozi said. "I am Mrs. Aduni Taiwo. I was at Victoria Island Mall on Saturday, October 21st, shopping for my granddaughter's birthday." "And what did you witness?" Mrs. Taiwo's voice was steady. "I heard shouting. I turned and saw that man." She pointed at Adebayo, hitting a woman, slapping her face so hard her head snapped to the side. Then he grabbed her throat and started choking her. "What did you do?" "I pushed through the crowd. I told him to stop. He told me to mind my business." Her voice sharpened. "I told him I would not stand by while he killed a woman in front of children, that we were all witnesses, that he could not hide this violence." "And how did he respond?" "He slammed her head into the marble pillar. I saw blood. I heard her skull crack." Mrs. Taiwo's voice broke. "I thought he was going to kill her right there in front of us all." "Thank you, Mrs. Taiwo. No further questions." The public defender stood for cross-examination. He looked nervous, out of his depth. "Mrs. Taiwo, did you see what happened before the alleged assault? Did you hear the couple arguing?" I heard him screaming at her. I heard him calling her terrible names. I saw him drag her by the arm so rough I could see bruises forming. Mrs. Taiwo's eyes blazed. Young man, I am 73 years old. I have seen many things in my life, and I can tell you with certainty, nothing that woman said or did justified what that monster did to her. The gallery erupted in applause. Order! Justice Ogunlai banged her gavel. Order in this court! But the damage was done. The first witness had been powerful, credible, and damning. Witness number 215, the crowd. One by one, witnesses took the stand. The middle-aged man with glasses who'd tried to intervene. The young woman with the designer handbag who'd recorded everything. The teenage boy whose voice had cracked with emotion. The mother holding her crying 6-year-old daughter. Business professionals, students, security guards, shop owners, all telling the same story, all describing the same violence, all identifying Adebayo as the attacker, all saying they'd never seen anything so brutal in public. Each testimony built on the last, creating an unshakable foundation of evidence. The public defender barely attempted cross-examination. What could he say? These weren't unreliable witnesses. They were 53 ordinary people who'd all seen the same horrific event. By the time the 15th witness finished, it was late afternoon. Justice Ogunlai called for a recess until the next morning. As the courtroom emptied, Folake caught Adebayo's eye across the aisle. He looked at her with something she'd never seen before. Fear, real, genuine fear. Because he was finally understanding what she'd known for 3 weeks. He couldn't lie his way out of this. He couldn't intimidate these witnesses. He couldn't make the evidence disappear. He was going to lose, and he was going to prison. Day 2. Folake's testimony. The courtroom was even more packed than the day before. News of the powerful witness testimonies had spread. Everyone wanted to hear Folake speak. Ngozi stood. The prosecution calls Folake Okoye to the stand. Folake's legs shook as she walked to the witness box. She placed her hand on the Bible, swore to tell the truth, and sat down. Across from her, Adebayo stared at her with cold eyes, but Folake didn't look away this time. Mrs. Okoye, Ngozi began gently. Can you tell the court how long you were married to the defendant? 6 years. And during those 6 years, did your husband ever physically assault you? Folake took a deep breath. Yes, many times. Can you describe the first incident? It was 3 months after our wedding. Folake's voice was steady, rehearsed from practice sessions with Ngozi. I had dinner with a male colleague from work, a group dinner, 6 people total, but Adebayo accused me of flirting. When we got home, he slapped me, then he punched me in the ribs. I had bruises for weeks. Did you report it to police? No. He apologized, cried, said he'd been stressed from work, promised it would never happen again. I believed him. But it did happen again. Yes, again and again, for 6 years. Ngozi walked her through it systematically, the pattern of abuse. The cycle, explosion, apology, honeymoon period, tension building, explosion again. The isolation from friends and family, the financial control, the constant criticism, the threats. If you ever leave me, I'll make sure you get nothing. No one will believe you over me. You're lucky I put up with you. Without me, you're nothing. Every abuser's playbook, spoken in Adebayo's voice. The courtroom was silent except for Folake's testimony. Even the journalists had stopped typing, just listening. Mrs. Okoye, why didn't you leave? I tried once. 2 years ago. Folake's voice cracked. I went to my parents' house. Adebayo showed up the next day with flowers, tears, and promises. He convinced my father that it was a misunderstanding, that I was being overdramatic, that he loved me, and we just needed counseling. Did you go to counseling? Yes, once. The counselor asked about bruises on my arms. I lied and said I'd fallen. Adebayo held my hand the whole session and called me my love, and told the counselor how much he cherished me. Folake wiped her eyes. After that, I knew there was no point. He was too good at pretending, too good at hiding what he really was. So what changed? Why are you speaking up now? Because he attacked me in front of 50 witnesses who couldn't be gaslit or intimidated or convinced they'd seen something different. Folek's voice grew stronger. Because for 6 years, it was my word against his, and he was rich, powerful, respected. Who would believe me? She looked directly at the jury. But now you don't have to believe me. You have videos. You have witnesses. You have proof. You can see for yourselves what I lived with for 6 years, what I survived, what I finally escaped. Thank you, Mrs. Okoye. No further questions. The public defender stood for cross-examination. He shuffled his notes nervously. Mrs. Okoye, isn't it true that on the day of the alleged assault, you contradicted your husband in front of his business partners? I clarified a fact about a business deal. A fact that made him look bad in front of important people? A fact that was true. But you admit you embarrassed him. I spoke the truth. If the truth embarrassed him, that's not my fault. So you don't think you bear any responsibility for provoking him? Ngozi shot to her feet. Objection! The defense is suggesting the victim is responsible for her own assault. Sustained. Justice Ogunleye glared at the public defender. Counselor, nothing the victim said justifies attempted murder. Move on or sit down. The public defender sat down. He had nothing else. Day 3. Expert witnesses. The prosecution brought in experts on domestic violence, coercive control, and the psychology of abuse. Dr. Kioma Nwosu, a clinical psychologist, explained the cycle of abuse. Abusers follow a predictable pattern: tension building, explosion, reconciliation, calm period. Then the cycle repeats. Each time the violence escalates. Each time the victim becomes more isolated, more convinced it's their fault, more trapped. She showed diagrams, statistics, case studies. Mrs. Okoye's testimony is textbook domestic violence: the isolation, the financial control, the threats, the gaslighting, the escalating physical violence, and finally, the public explosion when the abuser loses control completely. In your professional opinion, doctor, was Mrs. Okoye in danger of being killed by her husband? Absolutely. When an abuser attacks their victim in public with no regard for consequences, they've crossed a line. The risk of lethal violence increases dramatically. The defense had no rebuttal, no expert witnesses of their own, no alternative theory, just a weak attempt to suggest Folek had been manipulative or had provoked Adebayo, but it fell flat against the mountain of evidence. Day 4. Closing arguments. Ngozi stood before the jury, powerful and composed. Ladies and gentlemen, you have seen 27 videos of attempted murder. You have heard from 53 witnesses. You have listened to the victim describe 6 years of systematic abuse. You have heard expert testimony about the psychology of domestic violence. She paused. The defense would have you believe this was a moment of passion, that Adebayo Okoye was provoked, that somehow his wife's words justified his violence. Her voice hardened. But let me be clear. There is no provocation that justifies choking your spouse. There is no embarrassment that justifies fracturing her skull. There is no argument that justifies attempted murder in front of children. She pointed at Adebayo. That man systematically abused his wife for 6 years. He isolated her, controlled her, hurt her, and when she dared to speak a truth that inconvenienced him, he tried to kill her, in public, in front of 50 witnesses. With no remorse, no restraint, no humanity. She turned back to the jury. He is not the victim. He is not the wronged husband. He is a violent abuser who finally got caught. And now you have the power to make sure he faces consequences for his actions. She sat down to silence. The public defender stood for his closing. He looked exhausted. Ladies and gentlemen, my client made a terrible mistake. He lost his temper in a moment of stress. He deeply regrets his actions. He asks for mercy from this court. It was weak, inadequate, clearly half-hearted. Even the public defender knew his client was guilty. Justice Ogunleye looked at the jury. You have heard all the evidence. You will now deliberate and reach a verdict. Court is adjourned. 4 hours later, the jury returned, 4 hours to decide a man's fate. Has the jury reached a verdict? The foreman stood. Yes, Your Honor. On the charge of attempted murder, how do you find the defendant? Guilty. Gasps rippled through the courtroom. Folake's mother grabbed her hand. On the charge of aggravated assault and battery? Guilty. On the charge of coercive control? Guilty. On the charge of sustained domestic violence? Guilty. On the charge of making terroristic threats? Guilty. Guilty on all counts. Adebayo's face went white. His hands shook. His public defender put a hand on his shoulder, but he barely seemed to notice. Justice Ogunlaye banged her gavel. Adebayo Okoye, you have been found guilty on all charges. Sentencing will take place 1 week from today. Until then, you will remain in custody. This court is adjourned. As the guards led Adebayo away in handcuffs, he finally looked at Folake, not with anger this time, not with defiance, with broken understanding. He had lost everything: his freedom, his reputation, his power, his future, and 50 witnesses had made sure of it. 1 week later, Sentencing Justice Ogunlaye looked at Adebayo over her reading glasses. Mr. Okoye, you have been found guilty of heinous crimes against your wife. Before I pass sentence, I want to say something. She set down her papers. You are a cautionary tale, a reminder that wealth and status do not place any man above the law, that violence against women will not be tolerated, excused, or minimized, and that when 50 witnesses see the truth, all the money and connections in the world cannot hide what you truly are. Adebayo stood frozen, awaiting his fate. For the crime of attempted murder, 15 years. For aggravated assault and battery, 5 years. For coercive control and sustained domestic violence, 5 years. For making terroristic threats, 2 years. These sentences will run consecutively, not concurrently. She banged her gavel. 27 years in prison, no possibility of parole for 15 years. The courtroom exploded. Cheers, tears, applause. Folake collapsed into her mother's arms, sobbing. 27 years. Justice. Real, actual justice. As the guards led Adebayo away for the last time, Folake watched him go. The man who'd terrorized her for 6 years. The man who'd isolated her, hurt her, controlled her. The man who'd nearly killed her was finally going where he belonged. And she was free, truly, completely free, because 50 strangers at a mall had refused to stay silent and changed everything. 1 year later, Victoria Island Mall. Folake stood in the exact spot where it had happened. The marble pillar, the polished floor, the corridor where 50 strangers had witnessed her nightmare. But today, she wasn't bleeding, wasn't afraid, wasn't hiding. Today, she was here by choice. Are you sure about this? Her sister Tommy asked gently, squeezing her hand. We can leave if it's too much. Folake shook her head, smiling. No, I need to be here. I need to reclaim this space. Around them, Saturday shoppers browsed stores, sipped coffee, carried bags. Normal life. Just like that day a year ago. But everything had changed. A woman approached, early 30s, hesitant, carrying a small child on her hip. Excuse me, are you Folake Okoye? Folake nodded. I am. I just wanted to say thank you. The woman's eyes filled with tears. I saw your story last year. I was in a similar situation with my husband, and watching you fight back, watching you speak up, it gave me the courage to leave. I've been free for 8 months now. I'm so proud of you, Folake said, reaching out to squeeze the woman's free hand. That took incredible strength. You gave me that strength, you and those 50 witnesses. The woman smiled through tears. Thank you for surviving. Thank you for speaking up. After she walked away, Folake turned to her sister. That's the 5th person this month who's approached me with a story like that. Your case changed things, Tommy said. It really did. She was right. the Folake Okoye Foundation. The office overlooked Victoria Island, bright, modern, filled with hope instead of fear. Folake sat at her desk, reviewing applications for the foundation's domestic violence support program. In 1 year, they'd helped over 200 women escape abusive situations, legal support, safe housing, counseling, job training, everything Folake wished she'd had access to 6 years ago. Her phone buzzed, a message from Ngozi Okoro. Court of Appeals rejected Adebayo's appeal. Sentence stands. He's not getting out. Folake closed her eyes, breathing deeply. Relief washed over her. Adebayo had tried everything, claiming the trial was biased, that the videos were prejudicial, that his sentence was excessive. His new lawyers, expensive ones, paid for by selling off his remaining assets, had filed motion after motion, all denied, because the evidence was overwhelming, because 50 witnesses stood firm, because justice once served, held. A knock on the door. Her assistant peeked in. "Mrs. Okoye, the interview crew from BBC is here. Are you ready?" "Right, the documentary." 1 year after her story went viral, BBC was doing a special on domestic violence in Nigeria, featuring her case as the centerpiece. "Send them in." The interview. The interviewer was a Nigerian woman named Amara, professional, empathetic, clearly moved by Folake's story. "Folake, thank you for speaking with us today. Can you tell us how life has changed for you in the past year?" Folake smiled. "Everything has changed. I'm free. I'm safe. I'm building something meaningful with the foundation. But more than that, I'm healing." "What does healing look like for you?" "Therapy, twice a week, learning to trust again, learning that not all men are like Adebayo, learning that I didn't deserve what happened to me, that it was never my fault." Folake's voice was steady, and learning that speaking up, even when it's terrifying, can save not just your own life, but inspire others to save theirs. Your case sparked a national conversation about domestic violence. How do you feel about that impact? Overwhelmed sometimes, grateful, but also sad that it took such public brutality to make people pay attention. Folake leaned forward. Domestic violence happens every day in Nigeria. In private homes, behind closed doors. Most victims don't have 50 witnesses. Most don't have video evidence. Most suffer in silence because they think no one will believe them. What would you say to someone currently in an abusive relationship? Folake looked directly into the camera. You're not crazy. You're not overreacting. You're not making it worse. The abuse is not your fault, and you deserve better. Her voice strengthened. Document everything. Tell someone you trust. Reach out to organizations that can help. Make a safety plan. And when you're ready to leave, and only when you're ready, know that there are people who will believe you, support you, and fight for you. She paused. You don't need 50 witnesses to be believed. You don't need viral videos to deserve justice. You just need one person to see the truth. Sometimes that one person is yourself. Later that evening, family dinner. Folake's parents' house in Ikoyi was filled with warmth, laughter, and the smell of jollof rice. Her whole family gathered, parents, siblings, nieces, nephews. The kind of gathering Adebayo had always found excuses to skip. Too boring. Too beneath him, too much time away from his control. Now, Folake attended every one. "Auntie Folake!" Her 7-year-old nephew ran up, hugging her legs. "When are you taking me to see the new cartoon movie?" "This weekend, I promise." She ruffled his hair. "You spoil him too much," her brother laughed. "I have 6 years of auntie duties to catch up on." Folake smiled, but her voice held an edge of pain. "I missed so much family time because you were surviving," her mother finished gently, appearing with a plate of food. "And now you're thriving. That's what matters." Over dinner, her father cleared his throat. "Folake, I want to say something." The table quieted. "A year ago, I failed you as a father. I didn't see the signs. I didn't protect you. And when you came to me 2 years before that, I sent you back to your abuser." His voice cracked. "I will regret that for the rest of my life." "Papa!" "No, let me finish." He looked at her with tear-filled eyes. "But I'm proud of you. Not just for surviving, but for turning your pain into purpose, for building that foundation, for helping other women, for refusing to let what happened to you define you." He raised his glass. "To Folake, the strongest woman I know." "To Folake!" everyone echoed. Folake wiped her eyes, overwhelmed with love. This was what family was supposed to feel like. Safe, supportive, free from fear. 3 months later, Kirikiri, maximum security prison. Adebayo sat across from his lawyer in the dingy visitation room. He'd aged years in 14 months. Gray hair, sunken cheeks, defeated posture. Prison had broken him in ways the trial never could. "The appeals are exhausted," his lawyer said bluntly. "There's nothing left to file. The sentence stands." 27 years, Adebayo whispered. "I'll be 69 when I get out." "If you get out, there's no guarantee of parole." Adebayo's hands clenched. "This is insane. I lost my temper. I made a mistake. People make mistakes. You fractured your wife's skull in front of 50 witnesses." The lawyer's voice was flat. "That's not a mistake. That's attempted murder. She provoked me. Stop." The lawyer closed his briefcase. "You're still doing it, still blaming her, still refusing to take responsibility. That's why you'll never get parole, because you don't think you did anything wrong." "I didn't deserve 27 years. Your wife didn't deserve 6 years of abuse." The lawyer's composure finally cracked. "She didn't deserve to be choked, beaten, controlled, and terrorized, but she got it anyway, and now you're getting what you deserve." He stood to leave. "Wait," Adebayo said desperately. "What about Folake? How is she? Why do you care? She's still my wife. She divorced you 8 months ago. You got the papers." The lawyer's expression was cold. "And from what I hear, she's thriving. Built a foundation, helping other abuse victims, became a national advocate. She's doing better than she ever did with you." He knocked for the guard. "Mr. Okoye, I'll be honest. I took this case for the money. But watching you sit here, still playing the victim, still refusing to acknowledge what you did, I'm done. Find another lawyer." "You can't abandon me. Watch me." And he left Adebayo sitting alone in the visitation room, finally understanding what Folake had understood a year ago. Actions have consequences. Violence has a price. And 50 witnesses made sure he paid it in full. 6 months later, National Women's Conference. Folake stood at the podium, looking out at 500 faces. Survivors, advocates, activists, women who'd fought their way to freedom. 2 years ago, I was trapped in an abusive marriage, isolated, afraid, convinced I had no way out, convinced no one would believe me. The room was silent, hanging on every word. Then my husband attacked me in public, in front of 50 strangers who could have looked away, could have kept walking, could have decided it wasn't their business. She paused, but they didn't. They stopped. They recorded. They testified. They refused to let my abuse stay hidden. And because of them, I'm standing here today, free, safe, alive. Applause erupted, but Folake raised her hand. "But here's what keeps me up at night. I got lucky. I was assaulted in public with witnesses and cameras, but most victims aren't. Most suffer behind closed doors. Most have no proof. Most face the terrifying reality of their word against their abusers." She leaned forward. "So here's what we're going to do. We're going to believe survivors. We're going to create safe spaces for them to speak up. We're going to provide resources, shelters, legal aid, counseling, job training. We're going to change laws so that abusers face real consequences. And we're going to teach the next generation that violence is never love, control is not caring, and abuse is never the victim's fault." She raised her voice. We're going to make sure every victim knows they're not alone, that they're believed, that they deserve better, and that there are 50, no, 500, no, 5 million witnesses ready to stand with them and say, enough. The room exploded in applause. Women stood, cheering, crying, united. Later, as Folake signed copies of her newly published memoir, Witnessed My Journey from Abuse to Advocacy, woman after woman approached with stories. You inspired me to leave. I pressed charges because of you. I started believing I deserved better. My daughter knows to never accept violence because I showed her your story. Each story was a ripple. Each ripple became a wave. Each wave became a movement. All because 50 strangers at a mall had refused to stay silent. 2 years after the verdict, full circle. Folake returned to Victoria Island Mall one more time, but this time she wasn't alone. She was accompanied by a camera crew, her foundation team, and Mrs. Aduni Taiwo, the grandmother who'd first stood up for her. They were unveiling something special. Near the marble pillar where everything had happened, the mall had installed a permanent display, a bronze plaque with an inscription, "On this spot, October 21st, 2023, 50 witnesses chose courage over silence. Their actions saved a life and sparked a movement. May we all be witnesses to justice." Below it, a wall of photos. The 53 witnesses who'd testified, all willing to have their faces shown as heroes, not just bystanders. Mrs. Taiwo stood beside Folake, both women wiping tears. "We didn't do anything special," the grandmother said. "We just refused to look away." "That's exactly what made it special," Folake replied. "You saw, you acted, you testified, you gave me my life back." The mall director approached with a microphone. "Mrs. Okoye, would you like to say a few words at the unveiling?" Folake stepped forward, looking at the gathered crowd. Shoppers, staff, journalists, and some of the original 50 witnesses who'd come for this moment. 2 years ago, I thought my life was ending on this spot. I thought I'd die on this marble floor, in front of strangers who'd forget me as soon as the blood was cleaned up. She smiled through tears. But I was wrong, because those strangers became witnesses. Witnesses became testifiers. Testifiers became advocates. And advocates became part of a movement that's changing how Nigeria treats domestic violence. She touched the bronze plaque. This memorial isn't just about what happened to me. It's about every woman who's been abused in silence, every victim who thought no one would believe them, every survivor who thought they were alone. She looked directly at the camera, knowing this would be broadcast nationwide. If you're in an abusive relationship right now, hear me. You are seen. You are believed. You are not alone. And when you're ready to speak up, there will be witnesses ready to stand with you. Maybe not 50, maybe just one, but one witness who believes you is enough to start your journey to freedom. As the crowd applauded, Folake felt something she'd never thought possible 2 years ago. Peace. Not because the past didn't hurt. It did. The trauma would always be part of her story. But it wasn't the end of her story. The end was this: freedom, advocacy, purpose, and hope. The end was 50 witnesses who changed everything. The end was a movement that would save countless lives. The end was proof that speaking up matters, that witnesses matter, that justice is possible, and that even in your darkest moment, in your most public pain, there are people who will see you, believe you, and fight for you. You just have to survive long enough to let them. Final message from Folake. People ask me if I forgive Adebayo. The truth is, forgiveness is complicated. I forgive him for my own peace, not for his redemption. I forgive so I can move forward without carrying his violence with me. But forgiveness doesn't mean what he did was okay. It doesn't erase the consequences. It doesn't mean he shouldn't be in prison. It just means I refuse to let his actions define the rest of my life. I survived. I spoke up. I fought back. And because 50 strangers chose courage, I won. If you're reading this and you're in an abusive relationship, your story doesn't have to end in tragedy. There is a way out. There are people who will help. You deserve love without violence. You deserve respect without fear. You deserve to be free. And if you're reading this and you witness abuse at a mall, in a restaurant, in a neighbor's home, don't look away. Be a witness. Call for help. Testify if needed. Your actions could save a life. Mine was saved by 50 witnesses who refused to stay silent. Let's all be witnesses to justice. Together, we can end domestic violence. One testimony at a time. One survivor at a time. One witness at a time. Folake Okoye, survivor, advocate, witness. The end. Thank you for reading Folake's story. If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, please reach out for help. You are not alone. You are believed. You deserve better.